think we're good on beer for a while.
I think we have a lot of beer.
Are we? I could use one to start. Do we wait to open this?
No. But this is going to be what
If you would love
drink as much as you want.
knock yourself out.
We'll have some beers that we do a shout out on, and then the beers that whatever you brought.
So, which you guys totally don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just open this right now.
Just open it.
Well,
This very
sometimes we open it to start the podcast.
Okay. Well, yours is already open.
It's
You've ruined it.
I was here first.
All right.
we can save it for when you go out. You go on.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. You open that beer.
As long as you just crack it open by the
Go for it,
mic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that's
this is-
Yeah.
We're drinking Havertide in my old Kentucky home. Kentucky.
3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Kentucky Commons Radio Hour. Joined this evening with David Satterley, John Renane. I am Michael Moeller, your host for the night. We're at Brewgrass Homebrew Supply in Louisville, Kentucky. We have a special guest with us, or just maybe a regular guest, and we'll get to him in a second.
Special.
If you'd like,
Very special.
if you'd
Very
like,
special.
yeah, he's already talking, so sure we can do. Yeah, we'll do this after the Patreon shout out. So he's also not only our guest, but he's also a Patreon subscriber. That's not why he's here tonight, but
It's part of it.
But it's part of it. It's part of the experience. So if you are interested in supporting the podcast and getting that extra video content and getting some other fun things in the future, different LAT Louisville L Trail prizes and whatnot, you can follow us at patreon.com/kycommons. $3. But if you can't do that, that's fine. We understand. Give us a rating, review, 5 stars, preferably Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, if that's a thing. Go Google Play, whatever.
Wherever you are right now, just go click 5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars. You're already there, so just click the 5 stars either way. So, but let's go ahead and introduce our special guest for the night. Our neighbor in Germantown.
Yeah.
Our
All community rep here tonight.
our beer drinking buddy.
A brother in beer.
A brother in beer. Also the secretary, we found out, of the Loggers Homebrew Club, and Patreon subscriber Nate Mileski. Nate, how's it going?
Hey guys, how's it going?
That was a great intro, actually.
That's a
Bring it
good.
up a little bit. Bring it up a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a
Thanks for the
special guest,
excitement.
right? Like,
Yeah.
very special.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's not like a last second fill-in or anything.
You're a Patreon subscriber. Do you enjoy that content?
I do. I like that. We were talking before the record. The video content is great. I mean, who doesn't want to see David Satterley's beautiful face
Agreed.
all the time?
Yeah, and especially when you have to pay for it. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to that already.
Let's
but
devalue this a little bit more, I guess.
No, it's
just
great.
in company,
Yeah.
I'm around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But David, what are we drinking to start off?
Today it's hotter than you would believe.
It's
Oh my
unbelievable.
God.
Yeah. It's hotter than a cordless drill at a Shively pawn shop.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
Oh, okay.
I did see a good meme on the internet that it's like basically that like level in Super Mario 3 where like the sun is up in the sky and then it keeps
just
kind of
tries to kill
come
you.
down and kill you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, giant
Yep.
fusion reactor in the sky.
Mhm.
But what this day calls for is the best beer, which is cold beer. But like always, we do start off the show with a great local beer from one of our Louisville breweries or associated breweries. But this is from Fall City. This is their Patio weather. It's a goza that they did, but it's straight up Margarita style, heavy salt, lime, coriander. Really just does the trick.
It's conditioned on lime peel too, so you get that extra citrus.
And it really does have a lot of salt, which I dig.
Yeah, especially when it's like hot weather beer.
Mm-hmm.
It works.
I feel like a lot of gozas try and go real light on it because people, if you don't like this is the thing. It's a goza. It should be like this,
Yeah.
I think.
I like a good salty goza.
Yeah,
Take this as an anecdotal review, but I do remember a couple weeks ago I saw Matt Landon from Mile Wide hanging out Mile Wide, and there's a festival going on, and Fall City was there outside, and they had the Margarita Goza, and Matt Landon proclaimed it was one of the best Fall City beers he's ever had in his life.
That's high praise.
That is high praise.
Also akin it to Westbrook.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Yeah. There goes.
Yeah,
it.
theirs is
yeah.
almost defining of the
Mhm.
ones made here in the States.
Oh, for sure.
This has an obtuse amount of salt, but it totally works.
Well, you gotta get those electrolytes when it's this hot out
Yeah,
there, man.
you're gonna sweat it out anyways.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So Nate's here tonight because we wanted to get the perspective of somebody that's jaded, but maybe in a different way. Maybe we wanted to get we wanted to get the consumer viewpoints on the beer
I've got
scene.
takes.
Yeah, I know.
We're all
I know
jaded,
you
Am I
do.
here
just in
for the
different
takes?
ways.
Yeah, but you're a homebrewer. I feel like every Sunday you invite us over to your garage and
Absolutely.
we watch you homebrew because we don't need to
Well,
participate.
that was a full display last Sunday.
You guys are
The
losers.
lack
You
of
guys
help.
need to brew some beer. Come on, you can't just keep going to Gallant Fox and then pretending you're a brewer.
My favorite part of last Sunday was when the my glycol chiller, I say that in extreme quotes, fell apart and there was glycol leaking all over my garage and everybody was sitting in their chair watching it leak. And one person, like the friend of Kyle, was like the one guy like, "Do you need help?" I was like, "Yeah, please." Literally glycol leaking all over my garage.
The guy that we just met that day.
Yeah,
of course.
Everyone else like knew the MO. No, I don't. You don't have to get up. It's a brew day.
But you are part of the loggers. You are a avid and proficient home brewer. Yes. So first of all, what is your homebrew journey? How'd you get into that?
So I decided I wanted to start homebrewing after going to my buddy's house in southern Indiana. He literally invited me over for a brew day because I was probably like 4 or 5 years into being a huge craft beer nerd and always thought it sounded really cool. Never really thought I would do it, but I had a friend that did it. He's like, "Come over. Like, what type of beer do you like? If you give me a beer name, even we can try and find a clone of it." I was like, "That's really cool." Went over there, did it. Thought it was a ton of fun. Basically just sitting there drinking for 3 or 4 hours and making beer, and the beer turned out really good. I'm not sure if I would think it's really good now, but to me it was like, oh my god, this is so good. And then kind of like fell off. Was like, that was a cool experience. I'd like to do it someday. And then got engaged and knew right away that we wanted to serve like homemade beer,
Nice.
homebrewed beer at the wedding
Yeah.
for sure. Because I'd been at one where they'd done it and it was super cool. So then I enlisted the help of my other friend, who you guys know, Ryan, and he basically took me under his wing and taught me everything. Because he like started a homebrew club at his college, and like I think he took some classes on it. He's a very smart guy, so knew a lot about it and just hadn't been doing it in a long time since he'd moved to Louisville. So we both kind of were like, well, let's do this. And we started brewing a ton, like every weekend, trying to make beer good enough to serve guests at my wedding.
Yeah. Well, it's always way more fun when you have a brew buddy. I can attest to that. Shout out to Ricky, the other.
Which is why I show up every Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the more the merrier for sure. Because otherwise, even if it's just like me and like one other person, unless that other person is like actively helping me the whole time, they're just sitting there because I'm busy and not really. So it's like, I like to just, if I'm brewing, basically it's like you guys sitting there having conversations and I'm just like listening to them.
It's like a
while I
live
brew.
podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Kentucky Common radio hour in my garage every Sunday.
I did help you grain in with
You sure did. You
John's
sure did.
infamous grain bags.
Oh yeah. With the handles that always gets into the mash somehow.
Yeah, they do. They do.
But I dig them because then I use them as garbage bags afterwards. Cause
Yeah.
that's what they
And to be clear, like you're not using buckets at this point. Like you have home brewing equipment. You've got the good stuff.
I'm not electric because I don't have 220 in my garage. Otherwise I would be, because propane is a kind of a pain in the butt. But I mean, I upgraded fairly quickly once I got my own setup. I started with the mash tun that's a giant water cooler, and then quickly upgraded as Andy Cobb, a local brewery owner, kept upgrading his equipment every like week. It seemed like I would just like buy stuff from him.
That's actually great.
Yeah, so his like first setup is basically now my setup.
That's awesome.
And then I built I have a friend who had a welding machine that he had just bought and was very excited about. So I went to the metal supermarket, bought a bunch of square tubing, and built a giant rack on wheels for for brewing, brew cart, I guess you'd call it. And that's my current setup. I love it. I don't like gas. It is a pain because you always seem to run out when you need it the most.
Like halfway through a mash.
Yeah,
Like something.
exactly.
That didn't happen on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at all. So I mean, you probably get asked this a lot. Do you have any desires to someday be a professional brewer or brewery owner or get involved in that space at all?
I would love to, but I don't. It's just, I'm so risk averse, and it is such a big leap to do something like that. It would probably look like a retirement thing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's something to be said for that. I mean, because like we've talked to a lot of brewers on this podcast, and I can speak from my personal experience. Sometimes it's nice to just have a freaking hobby
Yeah.
that you can just do to like decompress and
I
like
thought
hang out on the
about that a
weekends.
lot.
Yeah.
Because it's like you turn your hobby into a job and it becomes a job.
Like I haven't been able to just have a day where I brewed beer and chilled out like on a Saturday for how long have we been here? 6 years? Like, yeah, it's just work, you know?
Now it's a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would be, it's like the dream in some ways, but like in other ways, you see a lot of risk and just, potential downside. I hate like being in debt to a bank scares the shit out of me. I've already got a mortgage. I don't want to have like a $5 million business loan too. So yes, I would love to. Like if I won the lottery, that's what I would do. I would open up a brewery.
I think someone already did that.
Who?
8 Ball?
Is that what happened?
Oh, I forgot
Yeah,
about
That
that.
person won the lottery?
That on the 8 Ball. That's the whole story.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Also, Tin Man in Evansville.
Or isn't that like the same thing?
It's the same thing.
Oh, were they?
One of them bought the other one at a certain
Yeah, it was
point.
like
That
a
sounds right.
joint venture.
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
Okay.
didn't know that.
Yeah, where the Braxton Labs is right now in Covington,
In the liquor store?
in the back of Party Source, used to be 8 Ball Brewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was from the lottery. That's hilarious.
Yes.
I didn't know they were
That's what I
connected
would
to
do.
Tin Man in Evansville. That's
The more you know. Thank you,
Yeah.
David, for this public
Yeah,
service
right?
announcement.
I think I did
Let's
know
just keep
that,
talking
but I
about
don't
old
know
breweries.
the actual how it all went down or who owned who or what it was even. But
That's a great thing. It's like if you won the lottery, is like this would be something to do. People always say, if you want to figure out what to do with your life, like what would you do if you had $1 million? Well, just go do it. But that's not always really true because
I
it's a
know.
big liability.
Yeah.
Nobody really appreciates like how much work it is to own a brewery. Most of the job is cleaning. Then you have to make sure the beer's good, and then there's the whole running a business side of it,
Right.
and you have to then be a hiring person. And
there's
customer service.
yeah.
there's a business to, it's not just brewing beer. I mean, well, it is for some people, but for most people that own a brewery, I feel like it's a lot more than just brewing beer. And I would be a terrible manager. I'm a terrible businessman. So like that all would not fly. I would close immediately. I would forget to pay every bill. So like,
Oh, so you want to join Louisville Ale Trail? You'll fit right in.
right? So yeah, I mean, it ain't gonna happen. But I think for now I'm just very happy with it being like a very serious hobby.
And a serious hobby it is because, like we said, you are involved with the Loggers Club. Tell us about that. Tell us about Loggers Club and what you do.
So I'm like actually very new to loggers compared to almost every other member.
I like loggers too.
Yeah, well, yeah, everybody likes
Louisville
loggers.
area grain
Extract.
and extract research society. So this is Louisville's homebrew club that's been around since like 1994, 1992.
That sounds right because they just celebrated a very large anniversary.
Yeah.
Too, because they had a logo commissioned for
Tin Tacker right in the back. For you on our Patreon, you
there
can
you
see
go.
the new Loggers Club Tin Tacker.
which is super sick.
Yeah, it's very good.
That
Yeah, they look
is like
great.
the greatest logo. And when I saw that, I was like, dude, we got to get something made, some sweet merch with that
Yeah.
for sure. And then they did it, and I'm super happy with how all that turned out. But yeah, so I'm the treasurer. So we said
Secretary.
secretary.
Officer.
No,
Did we
sorry,
tell
that's Sarah.
you what your job was?
Yeah, well, I mean, So basically all I do is I help run the social media and try and, keep everybody informed of when their meetings are and, when dues are coming up and when the spring grain buy, stuff like that. Just sending out emails, keeping up the website, trying to keep up the website, trying to learn WordPress. But that's it. They just needed some help. Cause I've literally only been a paying dues member for 2 years. And when I joined, it was the pandemic. And so they were only doing Zoom meetings. So I, of course, and I did a bunch of those, but I had never met any of them.
Yeah, you can't try each other's beer over a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really, they did organize a lot of cool talks. We had, people from Omega Yeast and they like even went out to the hop farm and live streamed it and had a lot of cool talks. But then when we got back in person, almost immediately, I think they had a need for another officer. And I was just like, it's one of those things where I was like, I wanted to get involved in it in a way that would keep me.
And big shout out too, just to Greg and to Sarah for keeping that. It's been so. We're lucky in our business because we've been, okay, just because a lot of people want to brew during the pandemic, but trying to keep like clubs and organizations and things like that running during the time when no one can get together, like over the past few years, that's truly a challenge. So hats off to the Loggers Club for keeping it together, particularly to Greg and Sarah, because I know how much they stressed and worked and lined stuff up.
Man, and they do a lot. I've seen that firsthand already. Like Greg, Sarah, and Brandon are all doing
Brandon,
a ton. Yeah. And like Greg just spent, it's just an ungodly amount of time soldering together eye spindles. Like we did a group buy. He bought all of this, the eye spindles.
Oh yeah, I thought you said ice spindles. I was but no, I got you.
An eye spindle is there's another one called tilt, and basically it's like this hydrometer that you keep in your bucket or whatever your fermentation vessel is, and it uses a gyroscope to. I don't know the science.
It basically just it's like an alcohol measuring device, more or less, indirectly.
Yeah.
So but you can hook it up via Bluetooth and like to your computer,
chart everything, and it's got a temperature probe on it too. So it's all very cool. Like, and that's how you know when your beer is done fermenting.
Yeah.
Is how much sugar's left in it versus how much alcohol's in it. So he built these things, and when he said he was going to build them, I thought it was like one piece to solder. No, you got to solder like 8 things together.
He like bought a bunch of Raspberry Pis or like whatever equivalent, and the little angle reader, like the gyroscope thing or whatever, and then the casing. Yeah, that was awesome.
That's just like one of the things he's done recently. That shout out to them for sure. Because I know I don't know how long he's been president, but I've been in it for like 3 months and I'm already like, oh, this is a decent amount of work keeping things going.
Yeah.
But it is a great club. And we meet almost every month at Akasha. Well, I should say we meet every month. It's at Akasha as long as it can be. And it's fun because it's on Mondays. Akasha's closed. So it's just us in there, but normally Liz is there and we can still, drink some of their beer and, we got the whole place to ourselves, and we always have a nice talk. We just had Spencer from Atrium, who you guys just had on.
Friend of the show.
Yep. And he talked about, and Longtime Loggers member too.
Yeah, totally.
Talked about fruiting beer. I learned so much. And then, somebody's coming and giving a presentation on sake making this Monday.
I'm going to that one.
Yeah. Is Mark doing that one?
Yes.
Yeah. He is a resource too. Like he knows so much about.
Yeah.
And like, he knows like about the weird stuff that goes into sake making, like those bacteria that eat the whatever that coating on the rice is called. Yeah, that's going to be a good talk.
Yeah, my friend is trying to make that rice in his basement.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how that's going to go, but yeah, so that's exciting.
That's
I don't
how
know
the next
nothing
COVID
about
gets
sake
started.
except that I love it.
And the meetings are totally free to attend.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Yep. And it's $20 a year for the membership, and that includes your ability to get in the 2 bulk grain buys that we do, which are incredible deals. It's 100% worth it. And then also other things, like I'm organizing a trip to South Fork Malt House, which is, I think it's still Kentucky's
Shout out
own.
RT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're awesome.
RT Case is the bomb. So we're gonna go out there in July, and he's gonna give us a little private tour of the place, and we're gonna go to Country Boy Georgetown and kind of walk around the production facility. So it's a great. I mean, we do a lot of stuff like that. We went to a hop farm last year.
Was it Crosby?
It was Hop Ton.
Tom, the Michael Taylor's
Yes.
hop farm. Yeah,
And I don't know if he's still
I don't
like
think so.
in business. Okay.
Yeah, I think the pandemic couldn't really.
ruined everything.
Yeah,
Um,
it was a labor of love, and when there's no more like ability to
yeah.
have anyone love
no
you,
more love.
yeah, when there's no more love.
I'm excited for your hop farm to open with this new agricultural phenomenon you have in your backyard.
Yeah, I'm a big like no grass guy. So my very small, very narrow, long Germantown backyard is slowly being converted into like 100% like farm,
Yeah, man.
essentially.
I think you
So-
just hate lawnmowers.
I do. I hate them, and I hate grass. It's like the most worthless thing.
It is.
in an ecosystem.
It's stupid. Yeah.
So I was
I'm
like,
not playing croquet.
right.
I don't need a
exactly.
lawn.
Like I keep just enough for my dog to pee on. Like that's my goal, just enough so my dog's not peeing on my like
Shout out Penny.
tomatoes. Yeah. Shout out little Pen. But yeah, my hops, they were so good. Did you get to see them last year?
No.
They went all the way to the top of my garage. It was probably like 14 feet, and they were healthy and strong, big freaking leaves and nice cones. The hops were bad, but that's just Kentucky, I think. But this year I built, as you guys have seen, a very tall hop trellis in my backyard, and the hops are not growing.
It's thriving.
It's been a weird summer for growing.
I know.
It's like it rained and then it was dry and then it just got hot as shit really early.
Yeah. So I think they're a little stressed. Obviously they all were transplanted. So, I'm hoping next year will be a little better, because what I was going for, the Grail Garden effect of like walling off my neighbors. And so far I have one plant that's like 4 feet tall and the rest are like 6 inches. So
Maybe we should call that the Germantown fence.
yeah,
It's like a
just
bunch of
big
hops
hop
growing.
farm.
in-
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think I can build a fence tall enough to wall me off from the neighbors. So
Switching gears a little bit here, you have some upcoming travel, right?
mm-hmm.
Where you headed?
Going to Europe. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Somehow talked Mary into spending 2 days in Belgium. She really doesn't care about Belgium, but gonna meet. So I got a beer trading guy that has also become a friend, and he's actually trying to open a meadery in the Netherlands, but he's going to take the train down and meet us in Brussels.
Going to meet you?
Yeah, he's gonna meet us. No, so he's coming down, and we're gonna spend like basically a full day at Cantillon with apparently a crew. He's like, I think I might have like 8 or 10 people join us. I was like, oh, great. He's like, that way we can open more bottles.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, great. I mean, I'm in for sure. But then, from there we're going to, we have a quick stop off in Cologne to do some Kolsch service. And then we take a night train to Munich for Oktoberfest for
Hell yeah.
2 days. And then go to the Swiss Alps, which
Wow.
not a lot of beer going on there.
Well,
but
so I knew this was coming up, and you're gonna get to drink all this beer, but the one thing that you're gonna miss out on is some good French beer. And so what I have here is a delicious blonde beer from France. I'll let you take care of the bottle on that one. But shout out to our friend of the show, Madeline Ruggles, formerly Gravely employee, current Biscuit Belly director of marketing. She was just in France. She brought us that bottle back to try on the show.
Did you see how strong I am, by the way?
Yeah, wow.
That was nuts.
Tore that right off, man.
So, what's on that bottle?
We got their logo appears to be a rooster. I'm not going to try and say the name because I am.
See, that's
terrible
what
at
I wanted
pronouncing
you to do.
things. Yeah,
Blonde Francaise?
It's
Francais?
Francois.
Bron-
Francois.
Francais.
Francais, yeah.
It's a French blonde,
Yeah.
French blonde.
and the
You ever
name of
seen
the brewery
anything
is
with
La
blood?
Frache. La Frache.
I would think that would be
Lafrosse.
pronounced Lafroche.
Lafroche. And it is a red rooster.
I'm doing a French on Duolingo.
I
guys.
actually think it's a really good label, like
I do
super
too.
clean.
Yeah.
It pops.
Can you guys see that? I like it. Just blue, red. Those are good colors.
What was the base style? Blondale or Saison, did you say?
It's it just says blonde,
Okay.
and then when I used Google Translate on it, it said
I'm just
it was
pretending to read it right now.
No, when I see what I Google, I did a little Google Translate thing. It was Pilsner malt, And that's basically all it said. It said the type of hops, but it didn't translate right.
Point is, we have no idea really what we're drinking here.
Nope.
None of us has ever even heard of this thing before, but we want to try it. And
Let's
I
try
wanted
it.
to share it because you're going to have all this great European beer, but probably no French beer. So
No French beer. I might have took too much.
beautiful.
I got too into the audio.
No,
Portion of that.
it sounded great.
Ooh,
Yeah.
La French.
I don't think this is clean fermented. Like it's got a.
Got some funk.
Maybe that's the goza that was in this glass.
We do
before.
not believe in lager.
Gonna say it's probably just the.
We believe in farmhouse saison.
Yeah, what are they like? I mean, I think.
No,
of
wait, you're
wine
right.
when I
There's
think-
there's
yeah,
some,
there's some.
It's bubblegummy a little bit.
Yeah,
like
hopefully it's supposed to be.
like
It's a French saison, baby.
It's farmhouse. Like it's
That's
hayseed.
that French saison character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see
Oh,
if
yeah.
they told us the yeast. La Frach vous propose un blond 100% français le plus amateur de bière douce, facile de boire. Il se compose
Do you know what these things mean?
du malt piscine, de île monde, des sables en ancien amares, those are the hops. Triscuit et Barbe Rouge. Remember the Barbe Rouge
Barbe
hops that we
Rouge.
used? Yeah.
Barber Rouge is a hop.
Yeah.
It's a French
I've heard
hop.
that one.
Yeah.
La dépôt
there
de
you go.
levure au fond de la bouteille est naturel, so it's naturally fermented in the bottle. Rendant garder les fronts
Why was I reading the French?
ne pas attirer les routes. I don't know what that means.
Parlez-vous?
Contenait du gluten. It does contain gluten.
Yeah, yeah.
It does. Okay. Well, that's the important
But I
part.
think this is just a French blonde farmhouse ale. Yeah,
Great.
just like a French saison.
And
dig it.
that's basically an ad for Duolingo.
Yeah.
All in
right.
itself.
Wow. If you like beer and also like learning languages, you should try out Duolingo.
The French saison
this
is so
delicious.
nice too, just because it's you could compare it to a Belgian saison, but to me it's just a lot more like farmhousey is the only way I can
Yeah.
kind of make that distinction.
It
Less
doesn't-
refined.
I say like a Belgian saison has such a distinct character, and this one, to me, I like a Belgian saison that's got a little more like malty backbone. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's very like.
I just
strong.
always think saison Dupont. Like if I think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
like a
Yeah.
saison.
And this is like, I like the blonde. I like how light it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only 5%.
It's very like straw.
Yeah, well, you were
Yeah,
talking about it's hot as shit. Like this is a
yeah,
good
crusher.
summer crusher too.
Yes,
like
for
it's
sure.
a different direction.
We don't live in France.
This could have
We
been,
all live in France in our hearts, mon ami.
that could have ended really badly, and that was a pleasant beer to drink. That was a nice surprise.
No, that was good. I like
Thank
that.
you, Madeline.
Yeah,
I'd like
thanks.
another 5 of those.
Yes.
Yeah, no, right?
Maybe
Yeah.
Madeline has some more for us. Who knows?
And we went through the whole 33 centiliters.
That's like a 10 cent. That's like 11 centiliters each. Wait, there's 4 of us here. Anyway, I do
Yeah,
French, not math.
I'll have to get in touch with her and see how she transports beer back from. I
That's
wonder
ill-
if she
that's
did, like, a
illegal.
carry-on.
Yeah, you can't just.
Oh, you don't do that. Okay.
In Minecraft.
just
yeah, I
can't
wouldn't
do
do
that.
that. I'll never do
So
that.
while we finish this up, and I did want to test out a new game for us all.
Ooh, a game.
Are y'all excited about this?
Our games always turn out so good.
This is going to be a good one because there is a wonderful website called Reddit out there, and
yeah,
there
I've
is
heard
an even equally
Wonderful's a stretch.
It's like
Uh,
4chan, right?
yeah.
Basically.
It's modern day forum chats and whatever.
Hey, I like our home brewing. There's good threads there.
All right, so to that point, this is coming from our beer.
Okay.
And there are some questions on our beer that I thought we could answer.
Sure.
Specifically,
the
Nate.
Reddit people.
All right. All right.
So
I bet these are
this
great.
is going to be kind of rapid fire ish. So coming from Lone Wolf 2556, I have 2 bottles of Pliny the Younger. What food do I pair it with? Only meat I eat is fish.
Well, I
There you
don't
go.
think that's okay. Ooh, that's tough because that is what a like 14% triple IPA or something like that.
It's a big boy,
I don't-
despite being a young.
I think it's gonna pretty much overpower anything. Maybe like some cheese.
There you go.
Yeah.
You mean fromage?
Yeah, some fromage.
Is Pliny the Elder or Pliny the Younger the one who died from getting a turtle dropped on his head by an eagle? If it's
I think
Pliny
you're
the
the
Younger,
only
then
one
you
that
should
knows
pair
the
it with
answer to
turtle
that.
soup. Clearly,
There
Clearly.
you go. But
But they don't eat that.
They only
Oh,
fish.
well,
unless
you know,
turtle's
venture
kind of a
out.
fish.
Try
Well,
turtle.
aquatic.
It's the fish of the land.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a mammal. It's a reptile. Have you eaten a reptile before? Try it.
I think no matter what you eat with Pliny the Younger, it is going to tastes like Pliny the Younger.
That's good.
'Cause
That's a good point.
I was lucky enough to get that in a can when COVID happened, and oh my god, that beer is
can?
intense. Yeah, when
They
it was in
canned it,
cans.
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And the
it
vote
was,
for
yeah.
Pliny, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That campaign. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This next one's coming from user no_communication 4292. What should I do to friends who drink beer with a straw?
Oh, well, I think Spencer loves to do that, and we love Spencer, so
We should let David
embrace
take this
them.
one.
What?
Remember your creation from a few episodes ago?
Yeah, I mean, but I like that.
I know.
Oh,
That's advice.
The infamous sour straw.
Yeah, like find your favorite candy.
I actually really wanted to do that
shaped
Oh,
like a straw. Drink
with the
through it.
sour. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like what? And I wasn't here for that one. Well, I was, but I wasn't.
Oh, that's right. Out
I've
of
done
body
it.
experience.
I've done it on a bike. When we were like on a long bike ride,
Whoa, tell us morning.
we would stop at a bar out in like where's Butt Drugs?
Gordon.
yeah,
Corden.
yeah.
We would stop in Corden and we would get a
I've done it on a
can of
bike.
beer.
Where's butt drugs? I like this story so far.
And well, the only way it's really hard to drink out of a can while you're riding a bike, so we would get a straw and you drink.
One time in
beer.
college, I did try to fill up like a camel pack with beer. The carbonation
definitely.
it doesn't work.
I've done
It
that
just
too.
shoots in your mouth and then foams everywhere.
The minute you unleash
Yeah.
the
it
little
gets
toggle, it's just
It gets hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one's coming from user Utopia 39 Liam. I'm gonna also include the text on this too, but it starts with, I drink 2 16-ounce beers per week. Is that a lot? My fiance says I drink a lot. I drink 2 16-ounce Bells Two Hearted per week on Monday and Tuesday, my 2 days off work. I don't drink any liquor like whiskey, vodka, etc. I don't know. The comment just didn't sit right with me. What do you guys think?
I think I'm in a lot of trouble if
Yeah.
that's a lot of beer.
Did he say in 1 hour or like?
No, exactly.
On Monday and Tuesday, he has 2 16-ounce Bells Two Hearteds.
You're good.
Yeah, you're good, bud. Like that's how much we should all be drinking.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, you are correct.
Yeah.
But
The rest of the world is wrong, no
Yeah.
matter what side they're coming at you
But
from.
they sell them in like 6-packs, so you have to like I don't know.
Drink
Oh,
double
that's, a
six
four,
pack.
that's a 4-pack of
Well,
tall
and,
boys.
and it's going to last you a month.
Well, imagine having 5-gallon kegs all the time.
Imagine ordering it 20 chicken nuggets. Do you just like
Eat 2 at a time.
2? I don't know. Like, no,
Yeah,
you just eat
that's-
them all.
That person is being facetious,
Well,
clearly, but
I don't know. Well, regardless
his
if it's
wife
a
would
lot or
disagree.
not. So, yeah.
The real answer is
They-
you have to get right with yourself.
They need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen. Like, they need to have a sit down and like, listen, man, I drink beer twice a week. It's not that much. I get that you have some hangups about it. Welcome to Relationship Hour on Kentucky Commons Radio Hour.
Mhm.
or we taking calls,
Oh, absolutely. We did that a couple times.
ruining relationships.
This next one's coming from user Radioactive Walrus. What is the most redneck beer you can think of?
Ooh,
David's
yeah.
got it.
What do you got?
Yeah, it's Busch Light.
Yeah,
I was going to go with
Yeah,
some
for
homebrew,
sure.
just from my personal perspective on it.
I mean, that makes sense, but for me, like Wisconsin guy here, and also a family member to many rednecks, and they love Busch lattes.
Well, don't,
Bush latte.
My brother has a hat that says Busch Latte
That's
on it.
amazing.
They make Busch Light apple. You have to
Mhm.
pre-order it at the liquor store in my hometown. You have to
'Cause it's
pre-order
so good.
Busch Light at the liquor store in my hometown.
That's amazing. Okay,
So,
you win.
It is the redneck beer of choice.
and that's that probably would have been mine as well. They release a camo pack, don't they?
Ooh,
So
yeah, yeah.
so
Yeah.
automatically.
Yeah.
It's
Although
like,
I'll throw a regional one out there. There's a beer up in northern Wisconsin called Point Lager,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and it's pretty bad. Like I don't know if it's gotten worse or if it's always been. Because I used to drink. I mean, 12-pack of it every Friday, but people call it river water up there because
Nice.
like the brewery's on the Wisconsin River, the famously dirty, polluted Wisconsin River, with just like 18 paper mills lining the whole thing. But like that's like when you see an old dude like drinking a point beer at the bar, you're like that guy's like seen some shit.
That's the equivalent. I mean, I'm gonna piss people off, but that's the equivalent of like Old Style and Stroh's.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
at one point in
Back
time,
in the day,
Those
now
are other
it's-
good contenders.
you drank them in mass. No,
Right.
I don't think they're like redneck beers.
Nah,
though.
they're more
Yeah.
like you're right.
No,
you're right,
they're a
yeah.
little. They've gotten a little hipster
working man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or hipster. Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
I mean, like PBR'd, you know.
Yeah. PBR on a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Hipster. Last one coming from user Buffalo Kid Cards.
Respect.
Question. I had a bottle of KBS that was left in a car trunk for 2 years. Can this still sell her properly?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Crack that, or well, actually, you know what? Yeah, throw it in your hot garage for another 4 years, and just let her rip. Someday.
And there's only one way to find out. I think is
Yeah,
like what I would
exactly.
say.
If you happen to have left it outside from the 4th of July party last year
Yeah.
in a cooler, then
I was just thinking that.
I think it would be good.
I think the only reason we didn't drink that beer is because the cap was completely rusted through.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
We still should have drank it though. That would be a good opportunity. If you have old beers, you need to invite your friends over and then just give them to them like it's normal beer.
Yeah, I totally agree.
They're not going to insult you because they're at your house. You know,
The gift
And-
horse in the mouth phenomenon.
Correct.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't like that beer?
Yeah.
You don't like this beer?
Get out of my house.
This is my favorite beer. I love KBS.
How
don't-
dare you not accept this gift properly?
Yeah,
And honestly, like a beer like KBS, that
the
who
coffee.
knows? I mean, I don't know that. Like,
Hey, I'm gonna stay in KBS.
no, I like KBS, but I just mean like I don't. A Coors sitting in what was it in their trunk?
In their trunk
Yeah.
for 2 years.
Yeah,
But
a
only
Coors
2
in your
years.
trunk for 2 years would be much worse than a KBS in the trunk for 2 years.
That's probably true.
If there's any beer that can stand up to 2 years in a trunk, it's a giant barrel aged stout.
Yeah.
With a lot of maple syrupy sweetness.
Just
to
call it a Caribbean stout. Wasn't that a thing for a hot minute?
Tropical stout.
Tropical stout.
it.
Yeah, there you go.
Stout.
Like
Didn't we
warm-
just have one?
Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah.
Was
Ga-
it
Gallon
supposed to be?
Fox.
Steaming.
No, it
Steaming.
wasn't like that. Well, very nice. I'm glad we had that segment. If you just want to ask us questions straight up, listeners, if you enjoyed that, you can DM us on social media or send us an email at info@louisvillealetrail.com with your advice seeking questions. You know, I'm sure David would like to answer those.
No guarantee that we're going to answer unless you send them through Patreon.
Ooh, so I can send questions.
Oh, yes.
Anytime you
can.
want.
Anytime
Great.
you want.
Oh, I got lots
And
of questions.
relationship advice.
Or relationship advice. Yeah.
We have that going for us. Well, I believe it is now time for our show and tell segment. So I think Nate may have brought some things for us. So Nate, what'd you bring?
Well, do we want I was told to bring a beer thing and a not beer thing.
Let's do a not beer thing.
We're doing a not beer thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the not beer thing is liquor.
Third time's the charm.
This theme.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I was essentially told.
No. It was suggested.
It was an example. Ooh,
It's so
it's
fancy.
nice
Ooh.
decanter.
Because I had no. Normally, and it is the cheapest brandy that you can buy. So my non-beer thing is a Brandy Old Fashioned.
Okay.
Because I love giving it to people from Kentucky because it is such the fact that it's even called an old fashioned is kind of insulting to an old fashioned.
If you put it in that jar, you're allowed to call it an old fashioned.
I know, right? And that's like E and J.
It's a beautiful decanter.
To fill that up with brandy would cost like $4. Like the decanter definitely.
And this is you're bringing this on because it's a Wisconsin thing.
Yes.
Okay.
This is if you are
Oh, okay.
in any bar in Wisconsin and you order an old fashioned, you are getting a brandy old fashioned. I don't even care if you're in like unless you're in a bourbon bar, which now everybody's got bourbon bars. I was in a bourbon bar last time I was in Madison and it was nice. And I asked for an old fashioned and they asked me, do you want a bourbon old fashioned or do you want a brandy old? And I said bourbon. And she's like, so a bourbon old fashioned is much And I was like, I know. Thank you.
I'm trying to summon a Wisconsin accent to say something like, get out of here, you crazy.
It's very much you've seen the movie Fargo.
Yeah.
Like my sister, I always like tease my sister. She sounds like a character in Fargo.
Nice.
Yeah, that's our accent.
Okay,
All of my
then.
dad's side of the family is from Wisconsin.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a lot of oyas.
Oh yeah. Okay then.
You want that with bourbon or you want that with brandy, hon?
And if you ask
That's
for
pretty good.
I made the mistake of one time ordering bourbon old fashioned from like just like, a run of the mill Wisconsin tavern. And they made it like a brandy old fashioned, which I will show you in a second, but with bourbon, which is not good because it involves Sprite, which
I was curious when the Sprite came out. I'm here for
yeah,
that.
it is not a fancy cocktail by any
So
stretch
this
of
is
the-
not an old fashioned.
And I'm actually omitting the extra sugar that a lot of them add in addition to the Sprite. So a brandy old fashioned sweet, because they make them with sour too, which is with squirt instead of Sprite.
Oh,
It is
squirt soda.
yes, that is. Oh, that is okay.
It's like a Tom
I am
Squallins.
from a very small town in Wisconsin. I don't know if you like grew up in Milwaukee, if they would do that, but I have a feeling they would. Wisconsin they just want their liquor. They don't really need to taste it. They don't really. There just needs to be a lot of it. That's
On
all.
a few past episodes, we've looked up some just like kind of general statistics of beer consumption around the country. Wisconsinites, Wisconsinians, cheeseheads.
Wisconsinites. Or
Hands
cheeseheads.
down, they're kicking our ass. Like, yeah, the Wisconsin folks can drink.
I believe this is still true, but at one point we drank more of Copper and King's brandy than Kentucky did.
Wow.
I remember reading that actually. Yeah.
So
Also,
we're the number one state for brandy and for beer.
yeah, I think that was the case with
Anybody got a knife?
got it.
Corbel. I believe sells
Yes.
more in Wisconsin
Corbel.
than anywhere else.
I didn't know. Like, I thought Corbel was like, until I was like 25, I thought Corbel was brandy. Brandy was Corbel.
Right.
I didn't know brandy was like a type of liquor.
Oh.
I was like, it's Corbel. Are you sanitizing that
John
for me?
is currently
All right,
sanitizing
I
a
need
knife
glasses.
with a
I
I
lighter.
did
need
not know
glasses.
what this was used for previously.
We're doing surgery.
All right. So
All right.
it is a hefty pour of Sprite,
You want me to make some little twists while
Yes,
you prepare
please.
the cocktail?
please.
Is there? So there's no is there tip? Actually,
Okay.
if I'm going to, while you make that, if I'm going to Wisconsin, let's say I go to,
Not even an actual cherry, by the way. Just the
just the
Just
juice.
the gross
Oh.
juice. And it has to be the Kroger cherries. Like, you can't
We're
get...
all out of cherry,
You don't
son,
want-
but we got the juice.
Yeah, you don't want that Luxardo shit. My mom was offended when she came down recently and saw the price of I had some Luxardo cherries for old fashions, and she was making brandy. She's like, "Do you have any cheap stuff? I don't. Does this say $20?" I was like, "Yeah, they're real nice, you know."
Do you know how to peel an orange, John?
I thought we wanted twists.
Yeah, we want twists.
Okay.
Jesus, David.
You're doing surgery. It's not my fault.
And then
David!
way too much bitters. Like,
way too much. Oh, more.
You're gonna be.
That's a lot
Oh,
of
that's a lot of
bitters.
dashes.
You're gonna be
Well, you have to
offended
cover
by
up
the
the cheap
amount of
brandy.
bitters.
1,
Yep.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8.
What?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
What's that in Morse code?
SOS.
It's like,
Send help.
please, somebody get this drink away from me.
It stands for too bitter.
And then, if I was real, we all have to drive, I assume. So I'm not going to make these like a Wisconsinite would.
So, like, is there like a place if you're in Milwaukee? Is there like a good brandy old fashioned versus a bad brandy old fashioned? Like, oh yeah, you don't want to go to Elroy's down on Main Street because they don't do a good one.
Yeah, dude. So some places are so popular with the Friday fish fry, which is also a thing in Wisconsin, not just during Lent. Every single Friday,
Yeah, that's
everybody has
Louisville,
fish
too.
fry. Is it? Okay.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought that was, I only found it during
Catholic
Lent.
churches.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay.
yeah.
So Friday fish fry, a lot of the places will pre-mix everything, which is just disgusting because they're pre-mixing everything except the Sprite, which comes out of a gun. But, but like the best brandy old fashioned is at a place called the Old Fashioned in Madison, right across from the Capitol. They are like, I think they kind of are credited with making it like the ubiquitous Wisconsin drink. And I don't know where it came from. I have no clue. I could have looked that up.
Is
before
it
came,
traditionally served over ice? No ice, shaken,
but-
stirred?
Oh yeah, definitely, dude. It's normally served in like a plastic Pepsi cup
Yeah,
full
dude.
of ice.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, even the old fashioned, which is kind of a not fancier restaurant, but it's a
Thank you, sir.
it's not a dive bar, right? It's like a restaurant. But even they serve their old fashions in like a plastic glass full of ice. But I didn't bring any ice.
So this is just like red, by the way. Like,
Yeah, well, the only color in it is
Grenadier,
the grenadine.
maraschino.
Yeah, and that's essentially all it is grenadine.
but they do put a little
David,
bit
you
of a
want a little
citrus
twist?
twist in there.
Oh yeah,
That's
they definitely
traditional.
will. And what I like to do,
Oh no. I
at
twisted.
home if I'm making them for companies, I like to buy orange bitters and use that.
Nice.
And then I like to use Copper and King's brandy. And then sometimes I'll try and sub out. I've tried subbing out Sprite for other fancier things, but it never just works.
Today I learned.
And this is just a working man's
So
cocktail.
we'll
This is
start with the
no-
aroma.
This is no frickin-
Nathan, I would just like to tell you, this smells like an old fashioned.
Does it? Well, the bitters.
Yeah, it smells like
Yeah.
bitters.
Yeah.
yeah, like 8
But
dashes.
really, really intense.
Oh,
Like,
it's
It's so
really
it just
intense.
well, you know what it
Brandy.
tastes like? Bitters. It tastes like bitters. Yeah, but it just tastes like I don't want to say childhood because
Dude, I'm all
too
about
much
this shit.
information.
I'm all about this shit.
I got suckered into doing a shot of bitters.
This is great.
You did an
Oh,
Ingo
I
shot?
watched you do it.
Yeah.
It was disgusting.
It's not great, but it's perfect. Does that make sense?
It's just we've cut like we have so much like cocktail culture now, just like we have craft beer culture. It's like every once in a while my favorite cocktail, not cocktail, but like my favorite mixed drink is just bourbon and ginger ale. You know,
Yeah,
bourbon
dude.
and ale 8.
This
Like,
is
that's-
horrible.
No,
No?
it's not
You
horrible.
can't do it?
It's not horrible. You
I
can
love
be
this.
fancy and you can go
Here.
pay
I need more
$20
More
for-
Sprite.
So-
Right for David.
with the
Quickly.
with the cherry juice and the carbonation from the Sprite, I'm actually getting a lot of like Dr. Pepper vibes.
Oh,
Yeah,
huh.
okay.
But
Ooh.
with like
Ni-
bitters.
Yeah.
This is NyQuil.
no, come on.
This is the base for
Hey,
NyQuil.
you can get fucked up on NyQuil too.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Also like chocolate.
Here's what this is. You can go into some fancy
Brandy.
bar in like Manhattan, or you can go to like some fancy bar in Louisville that has the best bourbon in the world. You can pay $20 for a guy with like belly ring and like tattoos all over his face to make you a $50 cocktail, and you can be like, "Oh, this is so good."
Where does that exist?
Don't ask me what I do in my free time. But then you could also go to a bar in Wisconsin and be like, "Hey, give me an old fashioned."
Sweet.
All right, $4. Here you go. That's Brooklyn. $4. Here you go. That's Queens.
You know, I'm too.
And you get this,
I
and
have
it's
a good
great.
Wisconsin accent.
This tastes closer to a Manhattan than it does an old fashioned.
I will say, it's missing the
Sure.
ice. Like the ice, this has got to be cold because when it's
So
warm,
you can't
really
taste it.
what you're getting is just all bitters. I think.
I respect the hell out of this. This is like your corner bar old fashioned.
This is and like what's funny is I've never been to another state where like everybody just drinks the same shitty cocktail.
Oh, this is still 10 times better than a mint julep.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I drink
Speaking of
one
states
mint
with
julep
shitty
a year.
cocktails, yeah.
I drink one mint julep a year,
And it's great.
and I mean, and
You don't ever want another one.
and I don't want another one. when I'm
So
done
the
with
thing
it.
with mint julep is like, yeah, get it once a year during Derby season, whatever, but you better drink it fast.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
like
yeah.
if you let it sit for like more than 5 minutes, like the ice and the slosh and the mint, it just becomes like a gross drink to hold.
I'm offended for the mint because mint in a cocktail is amazing.
Yeah.
But that
mint in a cocktail, I feel like is normally there to be on the nose
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
really,
Muddled.
not muddled.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a flavor
Yeah.
in it. Like when I saw you over at Wild Hops, whatever they call their bar, they just call it Wild Hops Bar.
Yeah, it's just Wild Hops Brewery.
And the bar manager there, or what, what's his name?
Aaron, they
Aaron.
were making mojitos.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
he gave me a free something. Oh, what did he
It
give me?
was-
No,
Oh,
it was a
Paloma.
promotional.
It was, yeah. Well, yeah. He was making them, and Michael was taking beautiful pictures of them.
I would say shout out to Wild Hops Bar Program. They're doing some really fun
Dude,
cocktails.
that
honestly.
was so good. And he said, like, like how does the mint like come through? Does it like just on the nose? We don't want like the flavor of it in there. We just want it kind of like when you're taking a sip, it gets in your nose and gives you that. And it worked really well. What is it
Yeah.
called? A Paloma. That's what
Yeah,
I
that's
said.
what
Paloma.
It was a
Yeah,
Paloma.
yeah,
yeah.
But
It was
a Paloma, I never had a Paloma with a mint.
Yeah, that was their
sprig
take
top
on
of
it.
It was very good.
I've been going over every Saturday morning and pretty much just sitting down with one of those.
Really?
Really?
Nice. I
Just
like
one of those?
that.
Get a Bloody Mary.
I love that's super underrated.
What about a
by the
Mai?
way.
You like a good Mai Tai? I've gotten into Mai Tais a lot over the last month or so.
I'm all about anything tiki related.
I just like tequila. So
Yeah, same. Very much same.
So while we finish these up, and before we get to your next show and tell item, John, do you want to share some beer
Sure.
news with us?
So speaking of basically people getting creative with alcohol, and this was an interesting little story where I'm always kind of trying to stay abreast of like things going on in the kind of world of sciencey, beery, nerd shit. If we're going to come up with a name for this segment, and we won't do it every week, but it'll just be whenever there's a good story, it's how beer and nerds are going to save the world. You know, you can have anybody else, politicians and philanthropists.
You're
and
just talking about the thing that you're going to talk about before you talk.
That's called a preface. That's called a preface. The only way we're getting out of this mess that we've created for ourselves is nerds.
You be careful. You got
I was
Toothpick
hoping
Nate
you were gonna
over
say
here.
beer.
Beer nerds in particular. So this is a leading example of that hypothesis. There's a research lab at MIT. I'll find the professor's name to give him cred here as I read through the article, but I'll just start with the headline. Could used beer yeast be the solution to the heavy metal contamination in water? So I don't know if you guys have heard of this chemical called lead.
Definitely.
It's not very good for you, it turns out.
Very bad.
And we have a lot of it, thanks to the fact that they used to put it into our gasoline to increase the octane rating on it to make cars go fast. Great.
And paint.
And paint. Yeah, I like that. Paint and everything.
Made water pipes out of it. Famously.
Yeah. It made in water pipes, for the love of God.
Not in Louisville, though.
Yeah,
At some
Is
point,
it?
for sure.
Oh yeah, because you can get a free test now.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's a I wouldn't say an epidemic problem, but it's a worldwide problem, and
It's probably
has,
a bigger problem in other countries than it is here.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Although we certainly have our fair share. So anyway, people spend billions of dollars, and people try to figure out ways to address this by like creating new water filtration systems, by investing in ways to kind of blah 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 blah. Some nerds at MIT, that's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Center for Bits and Atoms, which is like the little program inside of there, found a way to get inactive yeast cells to essentially be able to just be dumped into a water supply and then reabsorb through a process called bioabsorption, which I imagine has to be similar to biotransformation. Basically, they can suck very, 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 very like large amounts of lead out of water. In the U.S., there are 12,000 miles of waterways that are impacted with like, you know, the results of mining and just all this stuff we were talking about, just environmental lead being dumped into the water. The European like level that they try to get the lead down to is they have it down to 5 now. It's between 10 and 5 parts per billion. And it takes a lot of like high-tech filtering and all sorts of like technology. It costs tons of money. Nobody can figure out how to do it efficiently. This team at MIT, and this is all still, you know, has to be reproduced and tested and figure out how to get it to scale. But they did have a concept and a successful experiment where just inactive yeast cells, basically the stuff that's kind of dried up in the bottom of a tank after 6 or 7 generations of brewing, can just be dumped into a water supply and absorb lead to make the resulting water come out with less than 1 part per billion. So it more or less, as much as you ever possibly really could measure, takes, below 1 part per million. I think I've been saying billion, out of the water. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Do they know how?
The inactive yeast compounds bind to it. I can't explain the exact chemical process,
so
but
it's not using it as food. It's the dead yeast.
It's dead yeast.
it's inactive yeast.
Okay,
Yeah.
inactive.
And they will just lock onto those things and kind of bind them up inside of their metabolism or whatever. And then they can run those through a filter, and it becomes really super easy to filter out on at least a small scale. They still have to kind of go back and figure out how to make that, a large enough thing to bring to a municipal water system or something like that.
Are you suggesting that the solution to clean water in the world is to make more beer?
So let me answer that question
Full
for you.
circle.
In a city the size of Boston, which uses about 200 million gallons of water a day, it would require about 20 tons of yeast per day, or about 7,000 tons per year. By comparison,
Sam Adams got
one
that.
single brewery, Boston Beer Company, generates 20,000 tons of surplus yeast every year.
Really?
Oh,
So they
gonna
can
say
be, So as a home brewer, whenever you ask yourself at like the end of a brew day, you have this nasty kind of old dried up yeast cake in the bottom of your carboy. should I be dumping this into my storm drain? Is this like bad for the environment? The answer is no. It's probably
great.
really good. And
Throw
then
it in the river.
Yeah. Well, the storm drain
Ohio.
hopefully like leads all back to there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to list all the other, but they've also now been trying to test this to remove other like harmful chemicals like cadmium, copper, and maybe even some of those like pharmaceutical compounds that end up in the water supply. And it seems like there's potential for just yeast dumped into the water supply to be able to absorb those things. And then kind of like at the sewage treatment processing plants or whatever, you just kind of put in like a yeast filter, just like you would in any kind of brewery or whatever, and it just scrubs that stuff out. Those big trace minerals are locked inside of there, and at least in theory, this is all still yet to have to, kind of come to scale and be put into use. Could really go a long way to cleaning up the world's water supply, and getting those heavy minerals out of water has huge opportunities for improving the health of the human race on planet Earth in the year 2022 of our Lord.
Sounds like once again, beer nerds are just gonna save us all.
Yeah, I really want to know how this was discovered. Like, who at MIT?
Yeah.
What homebrewer
I
at
said I was
MIT
going to shout
like,
out the...
No, this is definitely like a real thing.
So this
Saving the planet. my dead beer yeast has definitely got some use here.
Definitely justifying me just throwing it down the drain.
I'm gonna guess he like got his home brewery like funded by MIT. Like, doing lots of research
that's
with
truly
dead
the dream.
yeast.
MIT professor, I apologize, Neil Gershenfeld. Gershenfeld. Yeah, I could do French, but not German.
Sounds
apparently.
German, yeah.
Neil Gershenfeld, the director of the CBA, and 9 others at MIT, Brown, Wesleyan College, Nanyang Technologies University, and the National Technical University of Athens. That's cool. So anyway, get out there and get weird, people. Yeah, like I truly believe that the way we're going to save the world is with novel solutions. It's with finding these things. You ever watch that old like PBS show Connections with James Burke?
No, but I've been
like
to
from back in the
before.
80s. The solution to our problems, you never see it coming. It always is something that people said that airplanes were impossible like 25 years before Orville and Wilbur did their powered flight or whatever.
People said that the 4-minute mile was impossible until it was done.
The flight thing, I saw this thing very recently where like an editorial in the New York Times was published like 6 days before the first flight that said human flight is like 10,000 years away or something, and it was like 6 days later.
Yeah, exactly.
All I'm saying is I don't have a hoverboard, so
Yeah,
I mean,
Back to
buy
the
one
Future
more.
got it wrong.
I mean,
Beer
maybe
yeast, freeze
mislabeled,
hoverboard.
but my nephew has a hoverboard, so I don't know why you don't have one.
Yeah, it's mislabeled. David, what's going on locally?
locally, we're kicking it back to something that's not funded by MIT. Sorry.
I just finished my old fashioned, by the way. I love it.
I'm glad.
love it.
Come over to my house.
I do enjoy this.
They're on draft 24/7.
It got better. Locally, so
You've never got one. But.
Goodwood Brewing in the spring. Michael's gonna have to keep me honest here. In spring of 2020, put out a spirits program. So they started partnering with distilleries to produce spirits. Well, their latest spirit has been announced. It's with Three Chord Distillery. Damn, I always want to say brewery, but that's what we do. So they're well, yeah, you know why. But their latest project has been announced with Three Chord Distillery, and that'll be on shelf soon.
What is it?
It's going to be a bourbon, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I miss that part? Sorry.
No, I said distillery. I didn't. It's Kentucky.
The collab was a bourbon cocoa dream of a beer clocking in at 10% ABV. From there, the barrels were refilled with a blend of Kentucky bourbons and aged for another 8 months in Michigan. The result is a deep oak and buttery caramel goodness with chocolate malty notes surrounded by warm oak with a rich mouthfeel, followed by a long finish of malty molasses and tobacco notes.
Oh, man.
So Goodwin's program has essentially upended the bourbon first, then beer. And they've been doing beer first and then bourbon.
Wait, so it's not bourbon, empty, beer, empty, bourbon. It's just empty beer is the first thing in this.
No.
Barrel?
You have it right.
Okay.
You have it right.
Yep.
Right.
Didn't Rogue do that back 10 years ago?
Well, I mean, Copper and Kings did it with Against the Grain.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely true.
What the heck was that called?
I can't remember either.
They did the brewski,
Brewski.
Yeah.
There you go.
but I think that was distilled beer actually.
Okay.
Okay. And
Could
then
be.
I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, I do remember that. Okay.
Yeah, that was distilled beer. But yeah, so they're it's a beer first, second use barrel.
Yeah.
Going back to bourbon.
I love that. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
We talk about
More
like
of that.
barrels in the state and like how much we've all traveled and we see barrel aged beers across the country. And you know, anywhere you go to a brewery and you see a barrel aged beer and you're like, oh, that's Willet, that's Four Roses. And they're like, where are you from? Like, I'm from there. So I recognize that. And then
Right.
you start to think about like, why are all these barrels being essentially like outsourced to places outside of Kentucky? And like, how do we kind of retain that? I mean, because bourbon has like this just iron fist on those barrels, and then you know they repurpose them and use them for all kinds of other spirits. But why has Kentucky not pulled into more of that bourbon culture?
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good question.
Yeah.
It's been a question of mine since I moved here. It's
Well, if
like,
you go take it like when I took a trip to Maine when I was a younger man, and like you go to the restaurants like right at the edge of the ocean, and you ask them like for like, well, I'm gonna have lobster, and then you talk to the waiter and they're like, yeah, all the best lobsters actually end up in like Ohio.
Or
Right.
Worldport.
Who's gonna-
Yeah,
whoever's gonna
Louisville
pay
gets
for it.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just because the most valuable product is the product.
Yeah.
Right.
Like all the best Russian oil ends up like all over the rest of the world. They don't keep any of it for themselves.
I think we're gonna keep exploring that concept.
That's. I mean, I
So we-
assume it's a 3-tier system thing where for
Well,
not.
it's
It's
incentives.
not.
It's
It's not.
incentives.
It's about bourbon barrels, right?
right, but like, are they not just because I'm sure they don't want to deal with like, oh, like Mile Wide's gonna come pick up 10 barrels and Against the Grain's gonna pick up 30. I'm sure they're just like selling it all to one.
The highest bidder.
It's a broker. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
a
broker
okay.
it. But like I went on this short Instagram rant the other day about a National Bourbon Day, and they made the same points, and a rep from a very prestigious rep from Woodinville Whiskey, one of our good friends, Ariel John. She told us, she's like, hey, you can buy Woodinville barrels at any point in time, direct from us.
Oh, I didn't know
Like,
that. That's
we'll
great.
sell them. And I was like, okay, well, more people should know about this then.
Yeah, but they're in Washington.
But that's the thing.
That's
is,
like a proof of concept.
that's
Right,
the
right,
antithesis
right,
of
right.
like, if I can buy a bourbon barrel.
It's like the 3-tiered system for like beer, but it's for barrels.
As we just said.
Yeah.
I do wonder.
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
I wonder if like the problem here is scale. Like they're just making so much. They have so many empty barrels.
Sure.
So not only is it scale, it's doing what they're used to doing. And when Goose Island was doing their thing years ago, there weren't that many breweries in Louisville that were demanding barrels.
right.
That's an excellent point.
I mean,
Right.
there were some, but not that many. And so while they've grown that partnership, they've just kind of neglected to see what's going on around them.
Mhm.
And it's also a marketing thing too. Like, you have to breweries have to be very careful about how they frame their bourbon barrel aged beers. So not only is it just availability of the barrel as a source, but it's also naming rights.
naming.
Can I put
Yeah.
that this beer was brewed in Maker's Mark bourbon barrels?
Right.
Yep.
No.
Well,
Like-
that's taken a little bit of a turn, though. I think Nathan will say that too. But like 5 years ago, drinking a barrel aged beer, you had no idea, and you might pick up like some notes, and you're like, I think this might have been like Four Roses or something. And there's still a couple breweries that get around it by using like pseudonyms. So like a brewery that we've like Bovine Outline.
Yeah, sure.
I'll let you fill in the blank on what that is.
Ethereal mounds.
Yeah. So, but there's a lot of them coming straight out and just saying it.
Wait,
to
I can't figure out bovine outline.
Buffalo Cherries.
Oh, no, you shouldn't have said it.
But like, is that really like a legal thing? Because like, if you buy it, like, why is it the distillery
Branding.
has no control over who gets their barrel, and that's the problem?
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's also you can also make a point of just saying that, like, hey, why are you using our name in your promotions?
It's brand association.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Naming
but I mean, I
rights.
see it literally all the time.
It's definitely got
There's some local breweries where if
and-
you
and
walk
they-
in there, it says on the board.
and it's
Yeah.
either because they've gotten permission, or
Fly under the
they
radar.
are flying under the radar.
Right. Okay. I mean, one thing you can't hide is if you're put your barrels right in your tap house, and it's got that big
The
old
big old
stamp.
stamp.
on the
Absolutely.
end. And I think that's. I mean, hey, that's.
I tell this
sneaky
story
way
all the
around it.
time,
like
and I said it yesterday during National Bourbon Day too. But when I went to Alaska and I walked into this brewery there in the back, they showed me around. It was a room full of Willet barrels.
Yeah.
Willet doesn't distribute barrels Willet only distributes barrels outside of the state of Kentucky. They don't give barrels to anybody in Kentucky, at least directly. So-
yeah, but don't they give? Doesn't
Well,
I
sorry, go
assume
ahead.
all this stuff just gets sold to a broker with the highest dollar amount because they're just like
Sometimes.
they're running a real big ass business. We don't.
Unless it's my understanding, unless you have a partnership.
Okay,
So
okay.
I mean, I'm
It
pretty.
just seems, to me, it just goes to how large these distilleries have become, and the fact that they're just like, we don't have time to manage small amounts of barrels going here, small amounts of barrels going here. We're just going to give all the barrels to whoever can pay us the most amount to take them.
I get that, but if in a economy that is looking at things from a more it's an awful phrase, but a global scale,
What now?
not local, not global, but
Global.
global. It's a communications term.
Kentucky to the world.
Thank you,
That
you,
is-
Kyle Burnett from Bellarmine. It's the idea of just like, hey, we're on a massive scale now. We all want to appreciate local everywhere. So Old Forester down on Main Street there, they have the Old Forester experience. Now, granted, they have the actual Brown-Forman warehouses down in the south end of Louisville, but they still have some barrels and they do some cooperage stuff there.
Toast your own barrel.
Toast your own barrel, exactly.
A lot
So
of fun.
what is stopping them from just being like, hey, against the grain, you've been in Louisville for 10 years, you seem cool. Let's do something.
Yeah.
Right.
They could put aside a
I
half a
agree.
percent allocation. Of
It would
bourbon
be
barrels.
like it would almost be like more like a marketing thing than
So that would be how I would view how you'd have
Yeah.
to do this. You basically have to say, hey, so Willet tries to get their stuff. If you're selling Willet barrels to people close to Willet, that's wasted. That's opportunity cost. You need those Willet barrels to end up in Alaska so that people who have never tried Kentucky bourbon go drink a beer, and then that's the first time they hear about Willet Distillery, and
They
then they
want
think,
Willet.
I want to come to Willet.
But that's the antithesis of what we just said. Of that
No,
you're
it's not.
you're not getting those naming rights. You're not getting that brand association.
Yeah, but Michael, you said you went in there and you knew they were
This
all
was,
Willet
but this was
barrels.
like in the back, and they didn't really advertise things as a Willits' eyes, at least in the sense that
Who says that?
sorry, who
Willet
does
tie-
no
Willet-
Lagunitas.
Lagunitas,
There
thank
it
you.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, Willetized.
Yeah.
Oh,
David,
yeah.
you're a veritable encyclopedia of obscure beer knowledge. I have to tip my hat to you, sir.
I've been doing it for a little while.
And I think one thing I noticed with Willetized is that does have
TM.
There's a little
Yeah.
there's a little
Yeah.
TM on
Yeah.
that bad boy.
Well, and New Belgium, when they do their Oak Spire collabs, same thing. Like they always make it a point to say who their partner is.
Yeah.
Granted, now with their recent-ish buyout with Kieran and Lion, whatever, I mean, it's probably they also own Maker's Mark. So I'm sure from here on out, it might be a
a little less of that.
little Maker's Mark and no, Maker's Mark. Yeah, Maker's Mark.
That's one I don't see often, by the way, is Maker's Mark
Collabs.
aged
Yeah.
beers.
Yeah, but I mean, point being though, if you're going to be in Kentucky and you're going to make bourbon and you're going to sell bourbon and you're going to support an industry that is beverage,
And you want to claim to
if you
care
want to
about
care,
local.
yeah, if you want to care about local,
No.
If you want Kentucky
It's
to be the new
it's
Napa
really a
Valley,
no-brainer.
it's a no-brainer. It's less transportation costs. It's less, what even if it's a small allocation, the idea of partnering these two together and
And honestly,
that's just something we want to see. I
And the
guess,
people that come to do the bourbon trail, I guarantee you are going to drink some beer while they're here.
Yep.
And
they
would
absolutely will.
And vice
absolutely-
versa.
Yeah, exactly. So like they'd love to see those collaborations as much as we would, I'm sure.
It's cohesive. Yeah.
It really is a no-brainer. It's always perplexed me. We have so few barrel-aged beers in this city, really, comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. If you are a stranger to Kentucky and you walk in or drive in, fly in, and you're just like, hey, awesome, I need bourbon and I need some barrel aged beers because that makes sense,
Right.
And it does make sense. And there's a huge miss, and I hope that I think it's all of our mission here to just talk about barrel culture a little bit more.
it becomes a game theoretic at the end. It's like we can all compete against each other and all look for our own little piece of the pie, but ultimately, like the synergy, if you'll allow me to use a phrase, of like Kentucky bourbon, Kentucky beer, Kentucky culture, Kentucky horse racing, et cetera, et cetera.
Where do horses factor into bourbon?
Well, it's Kentucky culture. It's like the
a
Kentucky barrel
culture,
culture, if you
okay.
will. Yeah. The rising lauder lifts all mashes, if you will.
Wow, that's something.
TM.
Yeah, and
TM.
yeah. So
You should definitely.
I put a horse in a
That's
barrel
t-shirt
once.
right there.
we've been talking
A little baby
about
horse in a big barrel, and then he grew up and his legs stretched out of the barrel. It's like a chicken inside of the egg.
And his name was Sebastian.
we've been talking about bourbon barrel aged beers here, and ever since you talked about how you're going to Belgium. All I've been thinking about just like is other just barrel aged sour beers, and I could really go for one right now.
Oh, could you? Well, just so happens my beer thing.
That was a segue, just to be the guy who's pointing out what's happening while it's happening.
Beautiful segue. I thought it was supposed to be a surprise, but so my
Oh!
yeah.
Look at that!
I brought a big boy.
Let's not tell anybody what it is, so they have to subscribe to our Patreon.
There you go.
Just kidding.
I like that. No,
Oh wait, that's a good year too.
I'm extra AF today. I brought my beer thing is lambic, is Cantillon.
Yeah.
Because it is my recent obsession. I don't know nearly as much about it as a lot of people. Shout out John Means. But like
Yeah, no, dude, that guy knows his shit. Too.
I love it. It's quickly like it has become my favorite beer style. I love the nuances of it. I love the history of it. Especially what really got me into it recently. Another awesome beer podcast, Beer and Brewing Magazine's podcast. He went to the managing editor, and I forget his name. He went over to Belgium, hit up all the heavy hitters, and brought Joe Stang with him, who's also a awesome beer journalist and I think historian, whatever. Dude's knows everything.
Yeah.
And they interviewed Jean Van Roy from Cantillon, Raph from Boke. They went to Brasserie Atrium, I think it was called. It's like a newer kind of they're doing a lot of blending of natural wines and saisons and
that's cool.
whatever. So like I listened to all those and I was like, man, I love everything about these people and the way they
is
brew
Nathan
their
an
beer.
Anglophile or an Europeophile? Have we lost him that he's going to Europe and getting?
He's
into all
gonna
this,
meet
like-
that meat guy.
I'm
He
saying.
said.
only so much so as it goes to their beer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like I'm obsessed with their beer. I just love like Cantillon. Jean Van Roy was talking about how he bikes to work every day because he has a duty to try and keep the planet green, and like he's trying to be 150% green, meaning like he's putting back 50% into the grid, more than his brewery takes to run. Like, and I
hate to tell him about what yeast metabolism looks like, but
Yeah.
we'll leave that alone.
I mean, hey,
Yeah.
what are
He,
we,
he
you
has
can only
open
do
air
what you can
yeast
do.
though. He's not.
Still makes a lot of CO2.
It does make, but it's not like
It's not on the same level as
It's like
agriculture.
two
or,
cows.
yeah.
it's like one cow probably.
Exactly.
No, it's probably less than
And
a
that's methane.
leaf blower.
It's actually a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a lot, but especially at that scale. But then again, they're not a big brewery. Anyway, so I brought Cantillon. I brought one of their Lou Pepe goozes. So I don't really know exactly the story behind the Lou Pepe, but it's supposed to be like his his hand-picked blends of his favorite stock of all of his barrels
my understanding.
every couple years.
Hell yeah.
I think I had it when I did go there. I had it out of a cask in my first night there.
God, that's amazing.
This maybe will be a mission for you, Nathan, while you're over there. But from everything I've heard about, like traveling in Belgium, is like when you're around Cantillon, it's one of the best beers on the planet Earth, and it's one of the most like curated and well recognized brands, well respected brands. If you drive 10 minutes away from the Cantillon Brewery in Belgium and you ask the people what kind of beer they like, they're like, "What are you talking about? Just drink the local. Just drink this. Just drink this lager."
No, yeah. I mean, based on what I've heard about people that have been there, which I mean, it sounds like it's never, unless they're having like a big event, it's never even that busy.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's
That's accurate.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Like there were a couple group tours when we went, but it was really great because there was actually an
Older
expat,
discount like
American
that.
expat in there, working the gift shop, and she was just like, "Oh yeah, you're from Kentucky. That's cool." I tried to go to school there. It's like, oh, cool.
So why do all Willet barrels end up in Alaska? Why does all Cantillon beer end up in America?
Are you saying that even in Europe they don't appreciate craft beer?
So for this one out,
Maybe.
a clean glass. Yeah. So I mean, this European trip was really. Mary and I both have Oktoberfest on our bucket list, but
And you're using the lambic basket and everything right now. It's great.
I will say for anyone not on our Patreon, you kind of need to be here to see this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so the lambic.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, I get a little. The more I hear, the lambic guys don't have a lot of strong opinions about their beer. Well, maybe that's not true, but they don't.
That's not true.
They don't have a ton of hard, fast rules. But one of them is they really don't want that yeast that's settled in the bottle to be poured.
Yeah, it's not like an Orval though. Like, I mean,
Right.
with that, you're just like, we want that.
It's not and it's not like a Belgian wit where you're like literally rousing the yeast.
You must decant.
Yeah. So and if you were to what was his name? The guy from Trey Fontaine that just passed.
Oh,
Not Danny. That's Phantom.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
oh,
We're there with you.
this is horrible.
Yeah. Anyway,
Damn.
I forgot. Yeah, this is just the on the spot thing that happens to me all the time. But anyway, he is a huge proponent of the one long pour. Like you got to have all the glasses ready. You never stop pouring because once you
Armand.
There you go.
Armand.
And I'll
Beautiful name.
agree. That's the only way to do that.
Right?
You can't be like, yeah.
because if you pour it back,
Well,
even
that's
what
a
I was
homebrewer
just
thing
doing.
too. Like when you're gonna pour the bottle, you just pour the bottle.
Right. And it makes sense. It completely changes the flavor of the beer when you get all that yeast. Because I mean, okay, so this is a 2013, meaning it was brewed in 2013. It was bottled in 2016. That's some old ass yeast sitting in the bottom of that, and a decent amount of it.
So how do we even begin to do like tasting notes on something like this?
I
How do you
know, right?
describe like a really good Belgian?
It starts with the funk.
Yeah.
Right? That's when
the
you
nose, the nose is always my favorite part.
It's
of
acidic
beers.
but citrusy. Like it's orangey but kind of a little bit of vinegary. It's like
It's not
the
it's
older
not
it gets, the more
acetic,
vinegar.
yeah.
It's definitely got a little vinegar. It's got that good lemon. It's got that
Yeah.
good straw.
Am I the first person in the world that ever went from having a Wisconsin Brandy Old Fashioned in their glass straight to 2013 Cantillon?
Yes.
Well, I had a Coors
Yeah.
in between, so
Me too. You might be Michael Mueller.
I'm always looking for a good excuse to drink lambic.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
Yes, always thank you. You always have a pretty good collection at your house too.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man,
So
shout out the
tasting
meat dude
notes.
in Netherlands.
Shout out
Gerben.
me, dude.
Shout out my buddy Gerben.
So flavorful.
I can't
but
wait for you to
so
meet him.
dry.
I'm so excited.
It tastes like everything and nothing all at once. It's like bursting with flavor, but then it's just like it's clean.
That's
It's
just it. You could just like take a bit. You could drink this
You
like a
could.
Coors.
Yeah.
And not appreciate any of the beautifulness of it.
But when you sip on it, it just kind of every little taste is different, and the more you drink, the more it kind of registers differently on your palate. And a lot of that. One of the interesting things is this is a wild fermented beer. So we had this like French saison earlier that was fermented out with some wild yeast. This gets fermented out, with Belgian yeast, but then just gets aged with and this is blended, so it's
it's all open.
yeah, it's all wild.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's all sorts of
No,
different.
there's no Belgian yeast.
Oh, I guarantee
Well,
you, there's Belgian yeast.
It's
It
in-
is.
it's
well,
in the
technically,
air.
It
It's
is all
everything.
Belgian
Yeah,
yeast.
It's sacro. So here, let me rephrase that. There are some Saccharomyces in
Oh,
here
yeah.
of the Belgian origin, but then there's also
But not
whatever's floating
cultivated.
around. Yeah, exactly. And it's not even like necessarily in the air. It's the yeast and the bacteria that have been living inside of the walls of that brewery for how old is Cantillon? Like at least
90 something.
yeah.
And but like
80?
the building, I think the building has been. I was just listening to that podcast, and I swear he was talking about like World War II in that building.
Oh, the building's gross, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
I mean, you'll
well,
see it, but like
it needs
it's
to be.
literally covered in cobwebs
Right.
and
He's not
I'll do
cleaning
my
shit.
best. Jean Van Roy, is that his name?
No.
You see spider on wall of my brewery. You say, what spider? You see what you don't see, fruit fly. I spray no pesticide. Spider, best anti-insect best keep clean crew in the business.
You are you're all over the accents tonight.
Yeah, I know that was bad. I have
There was
no
one
idea
really
what
good
Belgium.
one.
It started off great.
But wait, let's think about the point there. He keeps his like cellar very dusty because he wants those cobwebs. Because spiders are nature's cleanup crew.
Yeah.
Like where you see spiders, you do not see fruit flies, which will turn that into vinegar in a second if they get down in there.
Yep.
They've got those little nasty bacteria all over them that'll not be the good bacteria. They're bringing in the weird fly strains.
Yeah,
So the spiders,
because then it's in that giant cool ship for 24. No, not 24 hours. A little less than that. But like, I mean,
long enough.
There's a lot of time for something bad to jump in there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's basically a pool of beer. You know?
It's almost like a little ecosystem.
I
when you
want
go
to
into
jump
these
in a
old
pool
breweries.
of beer.
Yeah, dude.
I would jump in that cool ship.
I
in
want a beard
second.
inoculated with David Saturday.
You know, there are
That's our next Legend Series collab.
there
I'm
are
going to vomit.
there are beer spas all around the country except for Kentucky. So
Yeah.
do we want to get in on that market?
Wait, now what?
There's a beer spa like in multiple locations across the country. Specifically, last one I heard
What
of.
it sounds like?
Yeah, you go in and you soak in beer.
Are they going to charge
And they
extra
give you
after
beer.
I get in it?
And what
Yeah.
beer is it?
It's probably just some like
Because if it's like hams,
It's
Yeah.
definitely
I
like
mean,
hams.
yeah, it's
It's pro-
definitely not Cantillon.
it's probably just like basic like brewer's mash. I don't know. I mean,
When,
whatever.
when we said straight from the tap, we meant like the keezer, not the bathtub.
Yeah. Well, as we finish up this delicious Cantillon, I did want to go ahead and say thank you to Nate for joining us tonight. You brought us some great drinks. We didn't even get to touch the rye saison that you brought us for the homebrew.
Oh shoot!
We're gonna open that off here though. It's gonna be great.
Good.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Anything going on that you want to plug in your life for loggers? I mean,
Yeah, I got some sweet vacations coming up.
Yeah.
Definitely join loggers if you're not a brewer. I don't, I doubt.
Especially
so
if you're not
just
a brewer.
Yeah,
also just
especially
for,
if you're not a
well,
brewer.
for context, number one listenership belongs in California, then Oregon, North Carolina, Ohio, Kentucky.
Well, still give us $20. For the people in Kentucky, join loggers. It's an amazing organization. People outside of Kentucky, I don't know, hit me up.
Find your
when I'm in
local homebrew
state.
club.
Yeah,
Find a local homebrew.
Yeah,
club.
if you're in
Or
California,
take a beercation, come here and
Oh,
drink our
for
good
sure.
shit and
We
come
got-
to a loggers club.
come down here, hit a couple distilleries, hit a couple breweries.
Follow the Louisville Ale Trail.
Follow the Louisville Ale Trail, which I've done 10 times over, but not gotten any stamps.
because you don't bring your passport.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Digital passport needs to be a thing we discuss off air.
Yeah, how much do you want to pay for that app?
Oh, okay. Well, how much should I pay for the? I would pay the exact same amount that I paid for the passport. Whatever,
that's good
$10.
All right, good
Right.
to know.
All right, there you go.
Having like IG handle. Like, loggers have a
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
social media.
Loggers does. I don't. It's loggersclub.com.
We'll put all the links in the description.
Yeah,
So.
thank you, because I don't know any of the other stuff. But
He's only the secretary.
we're very active on our. I mean, you just Google. I mean, www.facebook.com/loggersclub.html.
Easy.
John, what do you got?
I'm also just going to plug getting in touch. So there's a lot of different ways to approach craft beer. We kind of on this podcast talk a lot about the commercial side, but as we discussed in the beginning of the podcast, my favorite thing about home brewing and why I've been a home brewer for 20 some odd years and poured all of my free time into this, turning it into a profession, is because it's truly the best way to inform your palate. You can making beer is really cool, but my favorite thing about home brewing is that you just get to kind of have a relationship with the ingredients. You get to kind of learn what goes into any beer, and then when you taste something kind of crazy, you're like in your head, okay, yeah, this is what it would be to make this, blah blah blah. And aside from that, being part of a home brewing community, you meet really cool people,
Absolutely.
such as Nathan Mukeski. You guys aren't home brewers, but I kind of met you through the beer thing too.
I've made homebrew. I just don't do it.
So you are okay. So you guys are home brewers.
They're
Just,
home brewers.
just bad ones.
Just inconsistent
Yeah.
ones. I do like one batch a year.
So I will shout out to everybody. Come see us in the shop. But more than that, like go to a local homebrew club meeting wherever you are. I promise you that you're going to meet some really, really weird people, and they're going to probably one or two of them might become your future business partners.
David, what do you got?
Well, so speaking of weird people, I've been watching Married at First Sight. Those are all very weird people.
Oh, I've seen. God.
maybe take a chance, dip your life into the world of monogamy and get married to a stranger.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah,
That you literally haven't seen until you're on. The
I'm not giving advice, but
2 weeks later, you're posting on Reddit. My wife says I drink too much because I drink too.
Well, because I have
Bell's-
one beer a day.
Bell's too hard.
Look,
And
it
I
all
lied
ties
to her
in.
about the rest of them.
So if you want more relationship advice, I've definitely got the worst around.
This sounds like it's even more intense than 90 Day Fiance.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, highly.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
90 Day Fiance is more entertaining. This one is scary almost.
Yeah, this is
You're
like taking
no.
a
How do I
roller
wa-
coaster
I've never-
ride.
I don't know anything about this. Where do I
roller
watch it?
coaster
Well,
straight
get
to
married,
the-
then you'll learn all about it.
Don't get married.
I would just like to say that as this is Pride Month, it's so clear that the LGBTQ community is ruining the sanctity of marriage, not the Learning Channel or every other part of American
NBC or
culture.
Netflix.
Cut that.
All right.
Yeah, that's not a belief that we hold.
No. That was supposed to be an ironic statement.
It was a joke.
Okay.
You guys didn't hear the joke, irony in that? All right.
Yeah, it's just better to say that it's.
So you want me to explain what I'm doing? I thought
We
that was
got-
what
we
you
gotta
guys
keep
do.
the legal
The
views
best
here.
jokes do need to be explained.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, just keep it illegal. Just keep it illegal. Okay, cool. But really, how do I stream this show? Like, what's it on?
Oh, watch it on Hulu. It's great. They
I thought you were talking about this podcast.
no.
Hey,
no.
Hulu, although Hulu, if you're listening,
Patreon.com/KY Commons.
No, go watch it on Hulu. Your eyes will be just open. If you've ever been nervous on a first date, imagine your first wedding.
yeah.
Oh my god.
All my first dates turn into first weddings.
Oh.
You're not married.
Oh yeah,
Fuck. That fell apart quickly.
yeah.
Michael, as the host.
I would like to just give a shout out. Like we Kentucky has this thing where we're all about local shit, and like more so than anybody, it is an obsession with us. I mean, we talk about our Ale 8 soda, we talk about our Mingy beef jerky, we talk about our bourbon, our beer. We're a very proud state. One of the things that I think that we don't really shout out enough, but we should be more proud of, is Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Oh hell yeah.
Okay.
So
Hell yeah.
Ohio Valley Wrestling.
local?
It is. It's here in Louisville, and it's a circuit of a wrestling club that has existed for decades now, and they produce talent. I mean, such as John Cena,
And the dude from Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
yeah.
What?
So they all
Batista?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were talking
No.
about the other one.
Or if we're doing French,
Chris Pratt.
Chris
Chris Pratt. I was like, wait, but John Cena came out of Louisville?
Ohio Valley.
I'm not saying that he lived here, but I'm saying that he did live here for a second to go through the Ohio Valley wrestling circuit.
Oh, wow.
And so over years, this club, this organization has like put out some great talent. We currently have like Al Snow as one of the partners, and he was big in the WWF and WWE and big trainer. There's some exciting things that are happening with them right now. They're growing. If you like local shit here in Kentucky, check out OVW. Look at them up on YouTube. Like if you like wrestling, it's worth a watch.
I don't like wrestling, and I love Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Yeah.
It's the perfect blend of like
If you're in Louisville, check out Historic Davis Arena on Thursdays.
Where's that?
It's like by the Hikes Point area, like behind the Kroger there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, behind the Kroger.
Yeah, behind the Kroger.
That's where that good wrestling happens.
yeah, dude.
Generalize that
Just
area.
next to the dumpster.
But no, they're about to blow up for some things, and I just want to say, hey, shout out to OVW.
Yeah.
And with that, thank you all for listening. It's been fun. Nate, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
man. Thank you, dude.
Check us out on Patreon, www.kycommons.com. Wait, no, patreon.com/kycommons.
You'll figure it
Cut
out.
that.
//
//
Next time you go to a fancy bourbon bar, ask them for an old fashioned and then say Wisconsin style.
yes, but make it sour with squirt.
Brandy Old Fashioned.
Brandy.
Sweetly.